Morning. I think you're muted.
Hello, do you hear me?
I still.
No?
Oh, okay. Now I can hear you.
Awesome. Sorry that there you go. Yeah, I had some difficulties here getting into the session, but hello Miranda, hello everyone. How are you?
Good. Yeah. Just asking people where they're joining from.
Awesome, fantastic, and now we'll be able to help you out. I don't know if you were saying that, but I'm really excited about this topic because now that we are really narrowing down to the issues that HubSpot users might have on B2B. I think this is one that is quite important, right? You do all this work through digital channels, probably mostly through either advertising or content and content distribution to get your leads. But then starts the fun part, right? Which is this: out of all those hand raisers, which ones are qualified, which ones are not, which ones you should work with first, and which ones do you help the sales team to prioritize. So I think tools like HubSpot can definitely help you accomplish that, and I think this session will be very helpful in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, today we're going to be talking about prospecting and qualifying leads for B2B in HubSpot. I will go ahead and share my screen and jump into the presentation. And Emilio, if you can just keep an eye on the chat and let me know when I go into the abyss of sharing my screen.
Yes, and I want to tell to everyone, we love to make this as engaging and interactive as possible. So if any of you want to jump in and have make a comment, that will be more than welcome. But if not, at least put in the chat, how are you dealing with qualifying and prospects and leads right now in your HubSpot portal or instance? And if there's any like challenge or uh, thing that you want to accomplish out of this session to learn, that might be helpful, right? So that definitely changes how we are presenting this material. Again, with the assumption that most of the time you have a healthy amount of inbound leads, you are registering or capturing those leads in your forms, in your chats, all the other options that HubSpot offers to capture intent. And now you are trying to organize, segment, and prioritize those leads. So whatever challenge you might have right now, you put it on the chat, or something that you feel quite successful doing, right? A little trick, a little hack, or best practice that you can share with all of us. That's also helpful. We, as much as you guys, learn from sharing what we are doing with others.
Definitely. All right. Can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And you can see it click through.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It's so funny that you can't see anything once you're
I
screen.
know this is no Zoom. Now you know why I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, this is Emilio Garcia, and he is our managing partner for Boundify. And Boundify is a demand generation agency located in Greenville, South Carolina. And my name is Miranda Jenkins. I'm a demand generation specialist with Boundify. And to get things started out today, we're just going to share some exciting news. I know it's a little different with some of the hugs where for the most part, I feel like your people join based on topics that are interesting to them because the majority of them are virtual now. But in case you've been with us for a little bit, we are HubSpot user group, formerly was the Greenville Hug. So it was a location based here in Greenville, South Carolina, but the majority of our listeners, our events were virtual. And so the majority of the listeners were from all over the place, like they are this morning. And so we recently switched the Greenville Hug to become the Demand Gen Hug. So it's now a topic-based hug rather than location, and we'll be covering all things demand generation for B2B in HubSpot. So just wanted to share that little bit of news. If you are local to Greenville, the Greenville Hug location-based, one is still, it still exists. You can still be a part of it. But then ours now moving forward is going to be the Demand Gen Hug. I don't know if you have anything additional you want to share about that, Emilio.
Yeah, I was coming prepared to say, to the locals here in Greenville, hey guys, hang in there, right? If you're B2B, you still want to be on this one. But I'm just seeing the people where they're chiming in, and
Mhm.
looks like so far no one is from Greenville. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was a sour, sweet kind of like moment, because we have been hosting the Greenville Hub for a long time, and obviously we love our local HubSpot users, but we feel strongly that this particular realm, right? How do you leverage HubSpot for demand generation efforts in particular, or for B2B marketers in general? Because not everyone at a B2B brand, it's a demand generation practitioner, but at the end of the day, they are doing some of the things that are core to demand gen, like advertising, content and content distribution, but especially tying all together to the CRM, which is pretty much what you can do with HubSpot. So we thought, well, we are virtual anyway. Why not really open up this? Because as you are saying, Miranda, most of HubSpot users join because of the topic rather than because of the location of the chapter when the event is virtual, of course, which is pretty much what we've been doing for a long time. So we kind of like say, well, let's do it. And I'm really excited about this new stage of the hug.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, today we'll be talking about prospecting and qualifying leads in HubSpot. So we'll talk through features to help you prospect leads for B2B, such as building targeted lead lists within the CRM and the Sales Hub, and then how to use HubSpot Sales Workspace and LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then talking through features to help you qualify leads, such as designing the lead scoring model in HubSpot, and then using the lead agent and workflows to help you qualify, or automate some of the qualification features in HubSpot. And then as always, we'll do a platform walkthrough. So I'll be kind of going through the slides, going over the features at like a high level, explaining them through the slides, but then we'll actually jump into the portal and click around, and I'll show you where everything is located that we talked about, and then we can answer any questions as we go through. So to get started out with prospecting, one of the main features that HubSpot offers to help you with prospecting is the ability to identify specific prospects or leads, contacts based on certain criteria, whether it's firmographics, behavior, or intent. So you can do this two different ways in HubSpot. First, you can identify them using a saved filter or a view in the CRM. So when you have it'll be a little clearer when we're actually in the portal and I show you. But when you have your view of the contacts, you can create a specific view with a specific criteria. So whether it's you want to like identify all of the contacts who are in a certain life cycle stage, or the example that I put here is new leads where their last activity was greater than 7 days. You can identify it that way, and then you'll get kind of that list of people, and you can go from there to, enroll them in workflows, automations, emails, that kind of thing. And then you can also do it using static or active lists in HubSpot. The static list, it's static. So once you pull it, it will stay exactly how it is. And then the active lists are dynamic. So you can pull it based on criteria. And then as additional contacts or leads come in that match that criteria, they'll be added to it. And then another feature in HubSpot for prospecting is the sales workspace. So this is a workspace in HubSpot that's really just like an overview central hub for your sales reps to view and manage all of the things that are important for them to be seeing on a daily basis in one place. It's a great place for sales to kind of be in the habit of checking first thing in the morning and then kind of checking back throughout the day to stay on top of things. You can almost think of it how you would like a project management system type thing where it's all one location. And in the sales workspace, you can see an overview of your tasks for the day, any sequence activities for that specific salesperson. You can integrate your calendar to it, and then you can see an overview of leads, deals, the schedule for the day. And getting into some of the features. So on the workspace, it has a prioritized lead queue. So it's automatically going to order the leads, showing your top leads first based on engagement or filters that you set for the important leads for you to see. You can integrate your tasks and emails, so you can see it all in one place. You can see a quick overview of past and upcoming meetings that are tied specifically to, each lead. You can see engagement stats on there, and then you can segment it and filter the workspace by leads that maybe have activities that you need to, follow up with, or you can filter them by pipeline stage, whatever is the most important way for you to order the leads that you're seeing. And then another feature that helps with prospecting is the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is an integration within HubSpot. So to connect it to your HubSpot portal, you would just go to settings, integrations, connected apps, and then connect LinkedIn Sales Navigator. But the Sales Navigator allows you to view LinkedIn, the person's LinkedIn profile and information such as shared connections, recent activities directly on the contact record in the CRM in HubSpot. And then you can set like notifications so that when leads change jobs or start engaging with content, you'd get a notification on the Sales Navigator. And then another similar feature that helps with prospecting is enriching lead data. You can do this through Clearbit, which is an integration that you would connect similarly to the Sales Navigator in the integrations and settings. And then there's also Breeze Intelligence that can help you complete this, which is HubSpot's AI. So it's directly within HubSpot, and it's available as an add-on for starter, professional, or enterprise subscriptions. And what the enrichment does is it'll take the company record and then fill in any missing data, such as company size, job title, industry, and that can help you improve your lead scoring accuracy, make sure the leads are going to the correct sales reps. And then it also eliminates the manual aspect for sales of having to go in and, find that missing data. And the way it works, it's really simple when you come to contact record, you would just click actions and then enrich records, and it will enrich all that data for you. And then getting into features to qualify leads in HubSpot. The first feature that we will be talking through is the lead scoring model in HubSpot. So the lead scoring model is a point-based system that helps you assign value to leads based on the criteria that you set. So whether it's demographic information like their job title, their company size, or behavioral information like they opened an email, they viewed a certain page, they submitted a certain form. And so you go through and set it up based on, tailored to your company. So identifying all of the things that you want to see in your ideal client profile. And then you assign a point value to it. So say that your ideal client profile's job title is an environmental health and safety supervisor. Then you can add 10 points if a lead comes through that has that job title. And so you identify all of those criteria that are important to you, and then it adds up the point value so that your sales people can see the score that the lead gets based on the model that you set up. We'll jump into this in the platform walkthrough, and I'll actually show you like how to set it up and all that stuff. But again, you can assign the points based on fit and then also based on engagement. And it's all in one model, and it all gets added up together. Another thing with the lead scoring model is you can also put in negative points. So if there's things that kind of make a lead less less of a good fit for your company, then you can add in negative point values that'll also all get added up in the lead scoring model. All right, and then you can also automate lead scoring and qualification in HubSpot to help take some of that workload off of your sales team. So the first way you can do that is through workflows. You can set up a workflow with triggers such as assigning a life cycle stage based on the lead fit score or an activity that they performed. You can automatically notify reps when a lead becomes an MQL or an SQL. You can auto-enroll qualified leads into email sequences. And then you can use workflows to set properties such as the lead status or the sales owner, region, product interest, things like that. So the example I put here is you could set up a workflow with the trigger that there was a form submission on the request demo form. And then if the score of the lead was greater than 70, then the workflow would automatically set the lifecycle stage as MQL, assign a contact owner, send an internal notification to the rep, and then enroll them in a follow-up sequence. So those are all steps that automating through the workflow takes the brunt of the work off of your marketing team or sales team to go through and do those qualification steps manually. And then another way that you can automate in HubSpot is with the HubSpot AI feature. This is only available in Pro and Enterprise portals, so just be aware of that if you have one of the lower level portals. But the AI can analyze past interactions of successful leads that converted, and then it'll offer recommendations for your lead score. So you can kind of see in the screenshot, it says we're evaluating your contacts that moved from lead to sales qualified leads between this date range. So it's the AI is essentially building the lead scoring model, which I'll show you how to do it manually, but this allows the AI to like build it out, and then you can tweak it from there. And then the AI will like continually give you recommendations to make changes to it or tweak it based on, common data that it's seeing of your leads that are moving through, from each stage, and your deals that closed. So it kind of helps take that, the manual brunt of the work out of it, and we'll do it for you. But if you don't have Pro or Enterprise, then you can set it all up manually with the lead scoring model that I'll show you. All right, and then we will jump into the platform. Do we have any questions come through?
There was a question from Kim Morphy. She was asking, for the LinkedIn Sales Navigator integration, if what level or tier you needed for HubSpot, and the answer is, Kim, that you need at least Sales Hub Pro from the HubSpot side, and you also need LinkedIn Sales Navigator Advanced Plus from LinkedIn. And there's a little I had it here. If you don't mind, that
Yeah.
you're taking a break, Miranda, on the sharing. I'm gonna share here my screen, guys. So, do you see it?
Yeah.
Right? Because this is a common question. So, whenever you say, "Well, I want to know if this sales enablement tool, sales outreach tool, sales prospecting tool is integrated or compatible with HubSpot," obviously go to the app marketplace. That's where you will get to see the app. But once you see it there, if you okay, there's an integration, and you wonder if your plan is compatible with it, you can always go to this little section called requirements, and there you can see if your plan is compatible, and if it's not compatible, what level do you need to have? That's where I source the answer, Kim. Right? What level do you need to have to from the HubSpot side? And typically, it will show you as well what subscription, if any, do you need from the other software, and on plus of that, the capabilities. Right? Well, integrates, but what can it do for me? Those answers you will get here, right? What data is being shared, the pricing of the tool from the other side. So pretty powerful here that you can see. You can see some reviews, obviously, and who is using this integration and whatnot, and some screenshots of how it looks like. So you can do that.
Awesome.
All right. Before you jump into the demo, Miranda, I want to give everyone here listening today and someone joining later the why. Remember, we always do that in our Demand Gen Studio episodes. Is okay. HubSpot has these fantastic features. What's in for me, right? As a marketer, what do I get out of it? So I want to give you context on, because in the slide shares that Miranda presented, if you pay attention a little bit, you saw that the feature was either for prospecting or for qualifying, and that's super important. Demand generation professionals or B2B marketers, when they are interfacing with the sales team, usually have two big roles to support. Right? They will not sell, of course, but they have to support these two actions. And the two big supporting actions are leads. For a company to be worth of an opportunity, they have to have a commercial intent, and they have to be the right fit for the company. It's not enough that someone wants to buy from you. You have to have an offer that matches their intent. So because you have those two necessities, um, a B2B website usually will have two sources of leads. Either they're coming to you through your forms and your chats and your phone calls, or you are out there proactively reaching out to them, right? And on more mature B2B brands, those two efforts are managed from the sales side by two different roles. The inbound management of incoming leads that have intent, but we have to assess the fit, is managed typically by a role called SDR, the sales um, SDR. I forgot what is the other development, sales development rep, right? So that person, the SDR, is the one that gets those leads and evaluate, and even might have some conversations with that lead before handing over it to someone, typically a senior sales rep, that will start the process of, consulting or doing the B2B sale. So that person needs tools to qualify the lead. That's the challenge. I got this uh, email name, company name. Who is this person? What's their role? What they have been consuming? Have they visited the website? Have downloaded pieces of content before? Are they our newsletter subscribers? So a lot of the features that Miranda is sharing and going to share with you have to do with how do I, the lead scoring feature that you're showing up there, have to do with how do I handle all these incoming leads in a proper way. And the role of us B2B marketers or demand gen practitioners is to build the tools to allow that SDR to be successful, to facilitate their work, especially if they have a big volume of incoming leads. So that's the qualifying features that you can leverage HubSpot to in order to ease out that SDR role.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the BDR, right? The business development rep. And it's a little bit confusing because I don't know why they call it that way, but probably need to look into that. But the BDR role is completely different. They have lists. They have identified accounts that are the right fit for the company, but obviously we don't know if they have intent. They have to go out and reach out. And so these prospecting tools that Miranda share and is going to demonstrate are all about facilitating the role of the BDR. This person has to identify accounts using lists, have to reach out digitally, typically to tools like LinkedIn, and connect and present the company and ask if there's any commercial intent. Has to probably organize sequences, send emails, set up tasks for themselves. So that workspace that you were sharing, Miranda, is to organizing all that work, because you are touching a ton of different prospects, different digital touch points. How do you organize the chaos? And so all those prospecting activities where you have clear fit, but you are trying to get intent, are the features that you want to leverage from HubSpot. So I wanted to give everyone that context, that prospecting features or tools will be for helping that BDR find intent, and qualifying features will be for that SDR trying to find fit or root out fit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
The qualifying features too, especially the lead scoring model, it's a great feature to help you kind of standardize what your company considers an MQL and what is considered an SQL. It takes some of the, you know, subjectiveness out of it, where you've clearly set these are the criteria that we look for and reward for an MQL. And it's set up, it's company wide, for all of your MQLs being scored on the same rubric, and same thing for SQLs. And so it can help with that handoff between marketing and sales, because it's a company-wide, understood decision of these are the criteria we reward to make someone an MQL, and these are the criteria we reward for SQLs.
I love that you're commenting that, because again, hopefully I'm not going off topic on this one, but another more advanced use of all these features is to establish a healthy relationship between marketing and sales, right? This is super important. Sometimes it gets confused on the demand gen profession that we are working for sales, and that's not the case. We are working with sales, and the way that you organize that work is you have a service level agreement, if you want to call it that way. That interface is what you're describing with that lead scoring, Miranda, which is um, which is we marketing are going to define some criteria to define fit and obviously declare intent. And lead scoring tools, creating list, surfacing behavior are ways that you can do that. But at the same time, from the sales side, we have to know that those leads are being managed, right? That they're being reached out to, that they're having conversations, and they're either being qualified or disqualified, so we can get feedback on what's working and what's not from the marketing and brand building perspective. So tools like the lead scoring, tools like the sales workspace help sales and marketing to tell the story from each of the two sides and build up upon that. I love that.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and jump into the platform then, and we can kind of go one by one.
And in the meantime, Kim is asking again, could we jump back to enriching contacts? When I click on action, enrich records is not an option, it's in beta. I don't know. I forgot if you showed a specific screenshot for that one, but let me tell you what I know about enrichment, Kim. Yes, enrichment in general, it's a feature that you can say is kind of in beta, because it's the result of HubSpot acquiring Clearbit, and it's little by little infusing it through the portals. But the enrichment actions is depending on using Breeze Intelligence add-on, right? It's a little add-on. You buy credits per month that allows you to enrich a contact. You can enrich an account. It pretty much what it's going to do is very similar to what Clearbit used to do, or like similar tools will do, like Apollo or ZoomInfo. The only difference, obviously, is that you can do it inside the CRM. So I highly recommend. Actually, Miranda is probably showing it right now here. There's a button at the bottom of the menu that has this new logo. That one is the Breeze. Yes, there you go. That's the enrich contact. So if you go to that icon in the bottom of the menu, you will see the options to upgrading for Breeze, right? Again, it's called Breeze Intelligence. It comes in tiers similar to the hubs, sorry. But the difference is that here you're buying credits. I think the smallest one is 100 credits per month, and then 1,000, and then more than that, and some extra features for revealing who is visiting your website in terms of companies, right? So this is very, very important for B2B companies.
Yeah. And I think I said in the going through the presentation, that's using the Breeze filter or feature. And then if you already have like access to Clearbit, or you've been using Clearbit, then you can connect Clearbit in at the integration level, and then it'll be, performing that action, but Clearbit doing it instead of Breeze. So hopefully that answered your question. So jumping in, the first thing I'll show you is the CRM, adding in views for the CRM to identify contacts for prospecting. So if you come here to the contact level for the CRM, you'll see these are kind of like the default views of all contacts, my contacts, unassigned contacts, but then you can add a view and create a view based on criteria that you're looking for. So for example, you could choose marketing contacts and see a view for everyone, who's marketing contacts. And you can, here it is. So you can create a new one, give it a name, choose if it's visible to everyone or private just to you. And you can identify these, with all of that criteria, um, and identify them that way. And then the other way to view, or the other way to do that is by creating lists. So that is also in the CRM and lists. And you can have them, all your lists identified here. It'll show if they're active versus static, like we talked about. And then you can click create list and start to create your list based on the criteria you're looking for. You can create it with contacts, companies, deals, and then you'll start adding in these filters of what you're looking for. There's tons of filters. So I would say pretty much anything you're trying to identify, it's likely going to be a filter for the lists. You can do it by contact properties, and add it all in.
Yeah. I want to highlight something that you mentioned in the presentation,
Mhm.
a way to start, right? So I highly recommend to everyone that the easiest ways that you can segment list for communication purposes and for for communication purposes purposes in order to nurturing those contacts that you got from forms that are not buying today, or for prospecting activities where you want to reach out to different segments. I will always start with the demographics, or in this case, if we talk in the context of B2B, with firmographics, right?
Mhm.
That's the easiest way, meaning segment the list by industry. That way you can cater a specific message for healthcare, for education, for fintech.
Mhm.
um, you can also do it by company size, right? Mid-sized companies will have different requirements than enterprise companies. You can do it maybe by location. So that's the easiest information to get, because if you use tools like the enrichment from Breeze, you don't depend on behavior or intent to segment. It's very easy to maintain, and it's a great start. The pro level, right, of that is to start using your own data to create more dynamic segmentation and saying, well, what about the behavior? Can I create a list about the people that I have on my database that is visiting our website in the last 90 days? That will be a good question to ask. Also can be, right, people visiting the pricing page, people visiting the contact us that didn't submit a form. So if you start leveraging your CRM information, your website information, people that open emails that you send, people that engage with you on social media, as you start adding the marketing actions that happen outside of HubSpot into the CRM, you can build more robust and deeper lists, which also is something that you use for lead scoring. So and finally, I guess the grail of it will be really literally on intent, right? Someone asking you for a conversation, someone scheduling a contact meeting that can trigger automations. Those are lists that are harder to build because required to really leverage the other tools in the system. So that will be something that everybody can start with, right? Start with firmographics and then move on into behavior and intent signals to build more complex lists.
Mhm. All right, and then I'll jump into the sales workspace and show you what that looks like. So if you come here to the sales tab on the menu, you can see the sales workspace. And here it is. It has, all these different cards that'll have the sales reps, tasks, activities. This is where you can connect your calendar and embed that. And this is going to be dynamic and specific to, each rep who's logged into their account. And then you can see the tab here for leads. And it'll have, all of the list of the different leads identified. Same thing with deals, looking at your different deal stages, any tasks that they have, and the schedule with the calendar embedded and everything.
Mhm. Yeah. And here I would like to compliment on again on how do you get started and why does this tool exist? The reason is because if you show the sales menu again, Miranda, please,
Mhm.
for a sales rep, systems, are like we marketers, we dive into the tools and we spend a lot of time on it. And it's kind of like our work to be inside the marketing automation system all of the time. That's where we live. But sales is completely different, right? It's sale for a salesperson, especially someone that is closing deals. The CRM is kind of in the way of their activities because they need to be talking to people. They need to be talking to customers. They need to be closing. And so there's this issue with, well, I need to use this system to communicate what I'm doing, but I need to talk to customers. So in a tool like HubSpot, if I had to go to a tab to look at my tasks and another different tab to look at my leads and another tab to look at my deals and another one to see what meetings I have and another one to see what emails have gotten responses, then it becomes a browser nightmare.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why this feature is being built on is relatively new, the sales workspace, is to give the salespeople that pane of glass or
Mhm.
glass pane, where one place where they can see everything happening. Now, the key thing for us as people that is trying to enable the sales team to leverage these tools is to start little by little connecting their productivity tools with HubSpot so they can start seeing that information here. And this is what I mean. The best way to start with this is to at least work out with your sales team, with your sales manager and director, making sure that you're connecting your inboxes, right? Mail inboxes and calendars to the tool, right? So that might mean Google Workspace, or it will mean Microsoft 365. So you can start seeing here who is answering my emails that I'm sending, which is typically the prospecting activity. What meetings do I have? Um, and upon that, then you can start leveraging, after you leverage those connections, then you can start building up some lead management and deal management inside HubSpot. That will be the second level. Okay, you are at least integrating your day-to-day activities, the emails that you send and the meetings you have. Now, can you tell us what contacts are you prospecting right now actively? Yes. Okay. Those are your lead objects. The pane that was you were showing there, Miranda, right? Is I'm trying to connect with this person or this account, and I'm either it's new, I'm trying, I connected, I'm having a conversation, it progressing to a deal or not. So that will be your lead management process. You want your sales rep to eventually start using HubSpot to do that, because that, as a marketer, gives you behavioral data and intent data that you can use to improve your marketing. And then obviously, it will be even better if they have their deal management in the system as well, right? Tell me about the opportunities, how big they are, when do you think they're going to close, who is the client, and the stages that they're moving on. Have we sent a contract already? So all of that happened on that deal stage. So once you have a sales rep that has connected their productivity tools, email and calendar primarily, that is managing their leads or prospects in the platform and managing their deals as well, then this workspace view will be super helpful. Right?
Mhm. Yeah. All right. So then next I can jump in and show you the lead scoring model. Um, so that is under the marketing menu, and you come down to lead scoring. And then this is where you can create additional ones. This is the one that I created as an example for um, this event. Um, so if you're familiar with, creating content in HubSpot, whether it's blog posts or emails or website pages, it, all of HubSpot, I feel like the user interface is pretty similar, so it's easy to catch on if you're already comfortable with HubSpot. But you'll come here into the view to start creating it, and you can set your score limit of what like the highest number of points you want to be able to add to. And then it has it broken up in like categories. So this is the properties, like about the ICP, and it has them all here. And then there's a category for activities. So we can kind of go through, and I'll show you some of the ones that I added in for this example. So building out our ICP in the lead scoring model for contacts, for the company, if the number of employees for the company is between, these ranges, then we'll add 10 points. And then also for the company, if the industry is, and you can set all of the industries, is any of. For all of these, you can also do is known, is unknown, is none of, similar to when you're building out filters for lists or workflows. And then you assign the point value. So there's tons, there's a bunch of these different criterias, different filters that you can put in. So these are just, examples of ones, but going through and thinking through what are the criteria that we have to identify our ICP, adding them in, and then determining the point value for each one. And then you can do the same thing for activities. So if all of the people who, fit that ICP, have that criteria, then if they submitted a form on specific forms, add an additional 5 points. If they visited the web page, add an additional point. And then this is an example of where you can also add in negatives. So this is an example of if the meeting outcome was no-show, then you can subtract 5 points. And all of these points will be calculated together, and then they'll get a lead score out of 100 that the sales rep will see. And then the leads will be ordered based on their lead score, highest to lowest for best fit. So there is some work on the front end of like going in and setting this up manually if you're not using the AI feature. But then once it's set up, it is automated. So as new, leads come in that fit the criteria, they'll automatically be assigned point values, and you can always go in and tweak it and change the criteria, add additional criteria as your ICP changes or as your qualification criteria changes in the future. Anything to add for this, Emilio?
Yeah, I love this feature, but at the same time, I think is one that is quite dangerous in the wrong hands. Like I don't know, like in the superheroes, right? It's a great power comes with great responsibility.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why, everyone. If you can, Miranda, please go back to the when you start creating the model. If you can exit it there.
Yeah.
So if you create a score.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you what I love about this feature. What I like about systems is when the technology maps a methodology or a process inside of it. It frames the conversation for the person that is using the tool to follow best practices. So this is a great example of what I was saying about that fit engagement or fit intent score, right? Is is embedded in the way that you choose the scores, because you can see here that you can create a contact engagement score or a contact fit score or combine them, right? And you can do the same for companies, which is helpful because in most B2B scenarios, you are trying to measure the engagement of the whole company or the account, not just of one individual, right? And the fitness of the company rather of the contact, right? The fitness of the contact on B2B will be the buyer persona, the role. Is that a champion? Is that a decision maker? But typically, you're more worried about the company itself, how big it is, the revenue, right? The industry that they are, all that. So the reason I mentioned this is because um, the easiest way to start with scoring probably has to do with qualification rather than prospecting itself. So, for example, if you say, "I'm getting a ton of inbound leads. How do I prioritize the ones that I should take care of first, and then second, then a contact or account fit score will be great, because that way you can say, well, based on the job title, based on the company size, based on the industry, I can score all my incoming leads. That's a great tool for the SDR to decide if I have 20 people asking for my services today, the person that I need to take care of first is the one that has the highest fit score. That's my number one priority. And then I go down to the list, and maybe there's a point if I'm below 50 or whatever criteria you use, or you have no-go zones, right? It's like, it's coming from this industry, definitely I'm not going to take care of it. I'm just going to send it over to refer it over to another business that is complementary to what we do. So fit scores, both for companies and contacts, are great scores for the SDR. On the contrary, engagement scores are great for the BDR, right? They have built their lists. They are sending their emails. They have triggered the sequences. They are reaching out on LinkedIn, and they're waiting on feedback from that engagement, interest. And so if you start a sequence with 50 people every day and start sending all those emails, your next step, which one should I engage next after I have done all that work, should be triggered by the level of engagement of those contacts, right? In theory, you selected a great fit. That's the job. But you don't know if they're interested. So putting here things that reflect interest, as you were showing, Miranda, right? Are they visiting the page, opening the email, visiting the website? Those are the things that will allow you to organize and score engagement. It's also as a tool that can help the marketer, when you think about the combined one, to decide when a lead becomes an MQL if you don't want to use a clear cut intent form. This is another big trouble or big conversation that happens in B2B. What is the criteria for a lead to become an NQL if they're not filling the contact sales form, or if they're not filling the, I want a demo form? If they're just downloaded a piece of content, should I pass it over to sales? So this is a hard one to do, to be honest. But typically the concept is this: you need a ton of data, but it's possible to do. Go to your deals, the close won and the close loss, right? Of all the deals that you have, and look at all the characteristics of the companies that became deals. Maybe their contacts visited the website more than the ones that didn't become deals, or didn't close. Maybe they came from some particular industries. Maybe they, consume or downloaded X amount of content before reaching out and engage. So it is a little bit like that movie, the remember the one that Tom Cruise, um, or Minority Report, I think was called. Maybe I'm too old for for using that example, but in that movie, there was a bunch of people that kind of were predicting if someone was going to commit a crime. So that's the same idea here. If you go and see the patterns of the companies that eventually bought from you, and look at what happened before that and can find things that signal, there's going to be a buy intent, then you can confidently say, well, they haven't filled a form yet. But based on what we have seen so far, this person is just a nudge away from taking action. It will be reasonable to think that while they haven't followed up the contact of form, I can reach out to them and ask, is there any way that I can help? Right. So that's the more advanced way that you can use that combined score to say, this is a great fit company. And they're taking some behavior that in the past has been a trigger for purchases. So I think sales should reach out, and marketing can say, well, I'm going to mark this one as a marketing qualified lead right now and send it over to sales. That's the hardest part to do, but that's a great use of that combined score.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had of features to walk through on the portal. I don't know if anyone has any additional questions or additional features that you want us to dive in. I know we're close to hitting the hour here. So feel free to, drop them in the chat if you have any additional questions. At the later today, after our event wraps up, we'll send out an email that includes the recording from today and the event slides. And at the end of the slides, I have our next date list, our next event listed out, and then also some resources around this topic from HubSpot. So there's trainings, certifications, blog posts, articles to read that further dive into this topic. So yeah, and also when we send out the link, it'll have the event page is where you can join the Demand Generation Hub if you want to get notifications of future events that we have. We would love to have you join us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.